we're going to, right. So the recording has started now. Right. So, like I said, we're going to look at CVP analysis, cost volume profit analysis, or commonly known as break-even analysis. Okay. Right. I think we all familiar with break-even analysis, even if we have not done it in accounting. You know, everybody knows, even in shopkeepers who have not gone to school. They some of them knows this terminology. Oh, break even. You have to break even. Okay. So, in your own words, what do you think break even is?
Yes, we are a
Mr.
company
Fofana,
that,
Sorry, one at a time. Aisatu Sane, you want to talk? Aisatu? I want to spot the new ones. Yes, Aisatu, what is break even?
break-even analysis in my own words
In your own words, Aisatu.
is a financial tool which
Mm-hmm.
helps a company
Mm-hmm.
to determine the stage at which the company will be profitable.
Okay, it's a tool that will help an organization to determine at which stage it will be profitable. Okay, that's a good statement, even though it's hanging a bit. So that's good. That's good, Aisatu. So who can add some more flesh to that statement? Emily, are you dodging away from me? Emily, is it bad internet or what?
Mr.
Yes, Janko.
Um, for me, it's a situation where a company does not make a profit, neither loss.
Good, good. That's break-even point. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So it's a situation whereby an organization does not make profit, neither does it make any loss. Okay. Okay. So we're going to move with break-even analysis. Okay. Break-even analysis is a very, very, very important tool for strategic decision making, not only for short term, but for long-term decision making. Okay, there are some tools that we use here in the short term that can be used in the long term as well. Okay, for example, if you want to go into production of a particular product that's going to last for years. Okay, at your planning stage, that is when you are developing your business plan. The best way to do is to develop a business plan before you go into any business. Very, very, very important. Okay? Because they say that, how to call it, not planning, okay? Not planning means what? You are failing. Okay?
You are planning to fail.
How do they nicely say?
Is it,
Failure to plan is planning to fail.
Planning to fail.
Okay? Failure to plan is what? Planning to fail. Okay? Very, very important. So anything you do in life, you must plan. Okay? So that's why it's really, really important to develop a business plan before you go into any business. It can be as little as selling peanuts, salted peanut. It can be as big as any other business. Very, very important to go into business planning. Okay, so break-even analysis will help you. Okay, will help you, the business, to determine which quantity do you need to produce and sell before you can make profits. Very, very important. And how long will it take you to produce those quantities? So in other words, how long do you have to be in business before you can make profits? So break-even analysis is very, very, very important and relevant for every business. Okay, not only at its initial stage of development, but even during the process. Okay, for example, if an old business wants to go into a new project, you could do your break-even analysis. Okay, so like Aristotle rightly says, it is a tool that helps management of any organization to determine which quantity it needs to produce and sell for it to make no profit and make no losses. You know, if you determine that point, you'll be able to know how much quantity you have to produce to make profit so that your target will be clear as at your planning stage. Okay? For example, if you know that you are going to go into a business whereby the fixed cost will be high, and if, for example, in order for you to make profit, you have to produce 1,000 units of that product, and all along your target is to produce, let's say, 600, you will produce for the rest of your life. You will never make any profit. Okay, so how will you know that you're going to make profit when you produce certain quantity? Is by doing your break-even analysis at that early stage. Otherwise, there's no point for you to go to business. If you go into business without making profit, no point. You might as well close. So how do you know whether you're going to make profit or not? Is by doing your break-even analysis. Okay? So it's very, very, very important. Okay? So break-even point, of course, is the point, the unit of production and sales whereby an organization makes no profit and makes no losses. So that is the equilibrium stage. Okay, is at a stage whereby you are at zero, no profit, no loss. Okay, so this is really, really important, like I said, for decision making. Okay, and to calculate your break even, you need to know your fixed costs. Okay, we know fixed costs are costs that we'll have to pay whether our production units goes up or down. For example, if we hire a factory, okay, we rent a factory. Whether we produce 1,000 units or we produce 2 units, doesn't matter. We still have to pay our rent. Okay, the rates that we pay annually, we still have to pay them, whether we make, more units or not. Okay, so in order to calculate our break-even points in unit, we have to consider the fixed cost, and then we have to consider our contribution per unit. Okay, how do we arrive at our contribution per unit? Is the same system, the selling price per unit less the variable cost, the total variable cost per unit. Okay, so that's the way we calculate our break-even analysis. Okay, so these are some of the formulas that you look at. Of course, you're familiar with. Of course, the unit contribution, selling price less variable cost, total contribution, break-even is fixed cost divided by unit contribution, like that. So you can look at those. Okay, so let's look at the break-even charts. There are 2 types. We have the normal break-even chart, showing costs and revenues at each activity level, and then we have our profit volume chart, which shows profit or loss at each activity level. Okay, so first let's look at the our normal break-even chart, which shows us costs and revenues at each activity level. Okay, so when you look at it, this chart is plotted. The y-axis is cost and revenue, okay, as you can see, and the x-axis is the quantity or the units of production and sales. Okay, so that is on the x-axis. So when you look at it, there are various lines. Okay, for example, the line that starts from 0 and goes perpendicular is our sales revenue line. Okay, why does it go linearly like this? Because it goes up when the quantity sold goes up. Okay, So that starts from 0 and then goes like that. Our fixed cost line starts somewhere, okay? Starts somewhere, okay? Let's say our fixed cost, if say this is 300,000, this is our total fixed cost, starts from somewhere, or let's say this is our 45,000 or whatever. So our fixed cost will be cost somewhere, so it cannot start from 0, okay? So the fixed cost line will always be at, how to call it, 180 degrees to our, you know, to our activity level, okay? It will always be, because the fixed cost will remain fixed irrespective of our activity level, irrespective of our sales units, okay? And then our total cost will start somewhere from our fixed costs, okay? Since this part is fixed, and then this is the variable element, so to give us our total cost line, okay? So where the total cost, okay, as you can see here, where it intersects with our total sales revenue, that's where total cost equals total sales, as you can see here at this point, okay, we extrapolated here, okay, whatever quantity that we can get on our chart here will always be our break-even quantity, okay? If you plot this on a graph, okay, it will give you exactly, and if you calculate it, it gives you the same thing. Okay. So this quantity, whatever it is, let's say this is a situation whereby the budgeted sales is up to 1,000 units. Let's say this is about, how to call it, 400 units. Okay, so if this coincides with 400 units, that means we have to produce 400 units before our total cost can equal to our total sales revenue. Okay, so this is our break-even point. So if we make any product beyond, let's say, this 400 units, okay, any units, for example, if we produce 401, 405, like that, up to our maximum sales, this area is what we call our margin of safety. That means if we produce this, any quantity after our break-even sale, what we're going to happen is we're going to get a profit. Look at it. Look at the profit here. But if we produce any quantity below our break-even sales, our break-even point, our break-even sales here, we are assuming that it's 400. Okay, as you can see, if we produce anything from 0 up to 399 up to 400, we're going to make what? Loss. So this is the area that will show us loss. Okay, so this is the normal break-even chart. Which how to call it, shows you the cost and revenues and the profit and loss, as the case may be. Okay, very, very important to take note of. Right. So this is the second one, which works very similar. Okay, the y-axis is the profit and loss. So anything below the x-axis here will be loss. Anything above the x-axis line, which is the 0 line, will be profit. Okay, so you have fixed cost line, total cost, like that. Okay, so this is the second way of analyzing. But like I said, the most common way and the most sensible way of analyzing it is by the cost and the revenue. Okay, so if that is the case, let's do some calculation. I have this on Google Sheet. I'm going to give you this as an assignment. Okay, I'm going to give you this as an assignment. Don't start complaining, Mr. Fofana gives us so many assignments. Okay, so I'm going to give you this as an assignment. Okay, so we're going to do break-even analysis for more than one product. Actually, for break-even analysis for a single product is very, very easy. I'll explain this to you so that you can do it as an assignment. Okay, take note of that. This is a situation whereby, you know, we're looking at a poultry farm. Okay, a poultry farm. Okay, whereby an individual wants an advice. Okay, if he wants to rear, let's say, broilers, which the chicken at the end of the 6-week cycle are slaughtered for the market. Okay, So it wants an advice. If it wants to go for broilers for 6 weeks, how many broilers does he have to rear before he can make a profit? Okay, so this will give you that. So simply, what we look at, we know that these are variable costs. As you can see, cost category, all these are variable, and then these are the fixed. The variable cost consists of the day-old chicks, the unit cost of them, 45, okay, the feed, okay, for the whole duration. They will vary, of course, with the number of chicks. The activity level here is the number of chicks, isn't it? The number of chicks are what? 600. Okay? The more chicks you buy, the more you're going to pay for it. So the cost of the chicks itself is variable. The feed, the more chicks you have, the more you're going to pay for feed. Okay? And the more chicks you have, the more you're going to buy medication. And the feeders, the drinkers, and feeder place and so on, and the salary for staff, these are fixed, okay, to some extent, because these in fact are capex, they are capital expenditure, okay, which may not necessarily vary with this, because you could use these things, the feeders, the drinkers, and so on, multiple times. Okay, so this will be fixed costs. Okay, so you're going to do this as your assignment, right? Take note of that. Then let's proceed to the other parts of break-even analysis. Am I clear with the assignment, class?
Yes, it's very clear.
It's clear. It's very, very simple. It has been simplified for you. We know if we want to calculate the break-even for this, we consider the fixed cost divided by the contribution per unit, simply. Okay, but you need to do it on spreadsheet, on Google Sheet, on your own worksheet. Okay, right? Okay, so we move on to the other side. Okay, we look at break-even analysis is good, but it has got some limitations. Okay, once costs and revenues have been determined, break-even concept assumes that they will have a linear relationship. Okay, they may not have a linear relationship. Means if it goes one step and this one also goes up by one step. Okay, it may not necessarily be. Okay, it may be stagnant at some point. Okay, fixed costs will be constant over relevant range, which may not necessarily be the case. Variable costs will vary in direct proportion to volume. Okay, is a limitation. Selling price or market selling price will remain unchanged. Selling price keeps fluctuating.
Mr. Papa.
Yes? Yes, Mama? Yes, Mama? Yes, Mama. Yeah, go ahead. Okay, you need to move.
I'm going to send this. I'm going to send. I'm going to send this question for because it's not in the handout.
Well, I'm going to. Sorry?
I mean, this question is not in the handout. I'm going to send it.
Yes, I'm going to send it.
Okay.
I've just screenshot it, so I'm going to send it. Okay? Hello, Mama? Can we move, please?
Yes. Thank you very much. Yes. Yes, we can move.
Okay.
Thank you.
I have already done it. It's on the WhatsApp now. I've sent it as screenshot. Your assignment, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So it should be done on Google Sheet and submitted on Thursday. Be done on Google Sheet on your file and submitted Pause there. Okay, so let's proceed. Now, I've done it, Mamad, okay? Right, so we've gone through some of the limitations of limitations means these are some difficulties of using break-even analysis. But even though there might be some limitations, it is still a very, very useful tool. Okay. Right, so how do we apply break-even in real life? Like I said, of course, one of the most important uses of it is in developing business plan. Okay, very, very important when you're doing your business planning. Okay, and of course, as part of budgeting process before implementation, example, break-even needs to be calculated before producing any products or executing any services. So it can be very, very useful also in our budgeting. Okay, because when we are budgeting, we must look at quantities, production quantities that are going to give us profits. Okay, very, very important. So how you calculate that is by using your break-even analysis. Okay, so it assists in making choice of products and determining what product mix, what production mix we do. We have to produce mangoes, or do we have to produce bananas, or do we have to produce both of them, you know, and stuff like that. So it helps you to determine what product to produce. And it's also useful for evaluating profitability of new businesses and product lines. Okay. So margin of safety, as you can see on the chart, I've shown you on the chart, it is the area between the break-even point, that's the break-even quantity, and the maximum sales that the organization can make. And of course, this is the area that if you produce, you know, this is the area if you operate on, you'll always make profit. Like the example that we gave, we assume that our break-even point was 400 units. So if we produce any units more than 400 units, we're going to make profit. So from that 400 units to assuming our maximum sales of 1,000 units, if we produce anything within that, you know, bracket, we're going to make profit. So that's what we call our margin of safety. Okay, and to calculate that, of course, is the margin of safety is the break-even, the maximum sales. Okay, maximum sales less the break-even point. Okay, divided by maximum. This MS here is maximum sales. Okay, so the maximum sales quantity, okay, minus the break-even. It's 19 hours. Divided by the maximum sales multiplied by 100. So it's just the difference and then turn it into a percentage. Simple. The difference, margin of safety itself is the difference between maximum sales and break-even sales. So to turn it into a percentage, you divide by the break-even sales and multiply by 100. Simple. You don't have to memorize anything. Okay, so we're going to look at, I think what we can do is, market is usually at 7:05, isn't it? It's usually 7:05. Market is usually 7:05, yeah?
Yeah.
10:07.
10:07. Okay, we can go then until around 10:07. We'll break for market price. Okay, so break-even point for multiple products. That's what we're going to look at. What we looked at before was break-even point for a single product. Okay, whereby we can use the formula fixed cost divided by contribution per unit. Okay, but when you have more than one product, then that means you have to consider the CS ratio for each of the products. Okay, so in that case, to arrive at our break-even point, we must take our total fixed cost divided by our weighted average CS ratio. Okay, it sounds big, but it's very, very simple. CS ratio is what? Contribution to sales ratio. Okay, I'm sure in your financial accounting, you must have done ratio analysis. Okay, so one of the famous ratio is what we call CS ratio, contribution to sales, which is simply contribution divided by selling price. Okay, unit contribution divided by unit selling price. Okay, or total contribution divided by total selling price. That's your contribution. So, what is weighted average CS ratio? Each of the products that you need to calculate the break-even point will have their contribution to sales ratio. So that means you have to calculate contribution to sales ratio for each of the products. If it is 2 products, you need to calculate CS ratio 2 times. If it is 5 products, you need to calculate CS ratio 5 times. And then what you need in the calculation of break-even point for multiple products is not those 5 different contributions, but it is the weighted average of them. And simply, how do you calculate weighted average? Each of the products will have a market share. Market share meaning how much, how much quantity you produce for each of those quantity. How much quantity you produce and sell for each of the for each of those products. For example, if you have 5 products, let's say 3 products, okay, one of the product has got about 20% of 20% of its production units, that 20% of the total production units that it provides to the market. The other one might have 30% and the other one might have 50%. So to calculate your weighted average CS ratio is those 20, 30, and 50 that you multiply by each of their CS ratio, okay? So if, let's say, product A has got a market penetration or market share of 20%, so after calculating your contribution to sales ratio, you multiply it by 20%. Product B has got market share of 30%. After calculating your contribution to sales ratio, multiply by 30%. Product C has got a market share of 50%. After calculating your CS ratio, you multiply by 50%. And then you add those 3, weighted average CS ratios will give you your total weighted average CS ratio. Simple. Okay? Simple. That's what is explained here. Is that clear? We'll do a question and then it will be clearer in that sense. Okay, so example 9, beauty company. Okay, let's do beauty company and then we can break for prayers. Beauty company, this should take us maybe 5 minutes. So you've got this already on your handout. I'm going to move to our spreadsheet so we can start it. Is that okay, class?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. So we're gonna go. Okay, so we're going to go to our spreadsheet. Okay. So go to the question. The question is called example 9, beauty company. Okay, beauty company. Are you there? Are you there?
Yes, we are there. Can I help you in reading?
Yeah.
You want to go to the reading? Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Example 9, beauty company. Beauty company makes 2 products, nails and lipsticks.
Okay.
Nail polish sells makeup of 30% of total sales, and their variable costs are 45% as a percentage of sales value. Lipsticks sales are 50% of the total sales and their variable costs are 40% as a percentage of sales value. Total fixed costs are $400,000 for the company. You are required, what is the break-even level of sales revenue for the company?
Good, very good. So when you look at this, this has got two products, that is nail polish and lipsticks. Okay, nail polish and lipsticks. When you look at the example that I've given you, is only one product, that is what? The broiler chicken. Okay, so this one is two products. So because it's two products, we need to calculate our CS ratio for each product, and we find our weighted average CS ratio, and then we use that as our denominator when we're calculating our break-even analysis. So when we're calculating our break-even point for multiple products. Simple. Okay, so let's go and open a new worksheet. I just click on plus. I just double click. I say EG 9, EG space 9. Right. So the name of the company is what? Beauty Company. B-E-A-U-T-Y, Beauty Company Limited. Okay. So that's the name of the company. And what we want to calculate is what? The break-even point. So we know the break-even point, as you can see on your notes, is the total fixed costs. So the break-even point for a single product and the break-even point for a multiple product, their numerator is always the same. And the numerator is always what? Total fixed cost. But the denominator is different. Okay? So the denominator is different. The denominator for a single product is always CS. It's always contribution per unit for a single product, but that of multiple product, it is what? Weighted average CS ratio. Okay, weighted average CS ratio. Is that clear?
Yes.
Good. So now the question is, how do we calculate our weighted average CS ratio? Okay. So we're going to do our break-even point here. So I just say B-even point. Okay, so we'll leave that here, then we can come here and do our workings. We can do our workings here. So what we want to calculate is the weighted average CS ratio. Weighted average CS ratio. Weighted average CS ratio. Okay. So before we can calculate our weighted average CS ratio, first we must calculate our CS ratio for each of them, and we apply the weighting and we add them together. Okay, so if you look at the first company, which is what? Beauty Company. It says Beauty Company makes two products, nail polish and lipstick. Sorry, our first product, I wanted to say. Our first product is what? Nail polish. Okay, so nail polish sales make up to 30%. What is this 30%? For nail polish, when you talk about its sales make up to 30%, what's this 30%? 30% of total sales. What does that mean?
30%, I think that's the profit.
Sorry?
I said 30% is the...
No, 30% is not the profit. 30% of total sales. 30% is what? What's the 30%?
Yes, the 30% is indicating the total sales. Sorry, the sale of nails out of the whole total sales. I think so.
Okay, and what does that mean? That's the market share.
Yeah, that means the market share of the nail polish.
Exactly. The nail polish, that's the market share. Okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
when you look at lipstick sales make up to what? 70%. So that means the market share of lipsticks is what? 70%. Okay? So the 30% and the 70% are going to be used in our weighting calculation. Okay? Take note of that. They are going to be used in calculating our weightings. Okay? So when you read further, just back to nail polish, it says that nail polish sales make up to 30%. We know what that 30% is for total sales, and their variable costs are 45% as a percentage of sales value. If variable cost is 45% of sales value, what is sales value and what is contribution?
Yes, I think on the break even, we always assume sales become 100%. So if the variable cost is 45%, then that means we will just take 45 out of the 100, then we get our this thing 55 as for sales, I think so.
No, the sales already we've been told that the sales is what? The market share is 30%, and we've been told that the variable costs are what? 45% has a percentage of sales value. Okay? Right. Just like you rightly said, if 45% is the variable cost of sales value, naturally, that sales value is the whole. And what is the whole? The whole is what? 100%.
Yeah.
So if sales value is 100%, the variable cost is 45%. What is contribution?
Contribution will be 55.
Contribution will be the difference.
Yeah.
Contribution will be the difference. So we will go to the first one is what? Nail polish. Okay, nail polish. Okay, nail polish. So our contribution will be equal to let's format this to percentage. Let's format this to percentage. So we come here, we click on the percentage. Okay, so we have equals 100. Okay, that has to be 1, which is 100%. Minus, because we already formatted it to percentage, 0.45, okay, which is 45%. So our contribution will be what? 55%. 100%, which is our sales, less 45%, which is our variable cost. So our contribution is 55%. And as such, our CS ratio will be this divided by 100%, which is 1. Okay? So it will be what? 55%. Is that clear? Is that clear?
Yes.
Okay, so simple. Our contribution, we have been told that our variable cost is 45% as a percentage of sales. Okay, if you say a number is a percentage of a particular number, that particular number is the whole. Okay, and percentage is what? Is 100. So that means contribution is 45%, sorry, variable cost is 45%, sales is 100%, and as such contribution will be what? 55%. So contribution is 55%. If we do contribution to sales ratio, still contribution is 55 and sales is 100. So contribution over sales is our contribution to sales ratio. 55 divided by 100 gives you 55%. So our contribution and our CS ratio is the same. Is this clear?
Yes,
Yes.
Mr. Fafana?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I was assuming that, okay, then, you know, in the, like, we are right now, we are talking about nail polish. So I was thinking that this 30%, that is the market share of the nail polish, should be multiplied by the contribution 55% to have the CS ratio for the nail polish, or?
Yes, that will be the weighting, okay, the weighted average CS ratio for nail polish. Okay, that's next. That's what we're coming to do. So okay, so we have a weighted average WA for nail polish.
Mr. Fofana, reminder prayers.
Yes, salat.
Salat, what not?
Yes, salat. Okay, so I think we can stop here. We continue. So it's what? What's the time? It's 18 past. So well, 18 past. So let's come back at 30:30.
Yeah, Mr. Fofana.
Yes.
For me, I'm having 9% battery. I'm in school here and I didn't come with my, I forgot to bring my charger in.
Okay. Well, try to manage with that 9% and then we'll see.
Okay, yeah.
I want us to
will,
definitely complete this today because we are left with I think basically one big topic. So that's it. So let's have salat now and then we come back at 30:30. We're going to start exactly at 30:30, yeah?
All right.
Thank you.
Mr. Fofana.